Okay, the Board of Education will reconvene our regular meeting of the Board of Education of CUSD 201, October 8th, 2019, and we will have roll call again.
Mr. Armstrong.
Here.
Mrs. Charlton.
Here.
Mrs. Coyle.
Here.
Mr. Price.
Here.
Mr. Rudy. Mrs. Strohmeyer.
Here.
Ms. Wilson.
Here.
Thank you.
If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item is the approval of minutes. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the September 24th, 2019 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the first closed session of the September 24th, 2019 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the second closed session of the September 24th, 2019 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Are there any public comments? Okay, then the first item is the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Number 1, personnel recommendations, employment of licensed staff. Solange Fingal, .6 FTE English teacher, Westmont High School. Patricia Orvis, long-term substitute, 6th grade social studies, Westmont Junior High School. Stipend positions, Robert Friel, 1.0 junior high, junior varsity boys basketball coach, Westmont Junior High School. James Sullivan, 1.0 junior high boys soccer coach, Westmont Junior High School.
So moved.
Second.
And roll call, please.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong.
Yes.
Mrs. Coyle.
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
Mrs. Strohmeyer.
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first item, only item under discussion is the PLC update.
The school district has been involved in the work of PLCs for a number of years now, and the board likes to have a periodic update on our progress. And at this point, our process is pretty well in place, and then we fine tune it every year. Starting with when we first started forming our PLC groups, normally you develop norms for your groups. And so typically, the norms that you see there, that's typically what it's about: the culture, how you want to treat one another, how important it is to treat each other with respect and to be listened to. But the true work of PLCs, though, needs to be focused on student growth, student achievement, and looking at data. And so over time, then, we've taken those norms and we've been tweaking those so that now the norms, we want to make sure that our norms are driving our student learning. And so it's important that when our teachers get together, they're looking at fresh data, they're looking at their formative assessment data and the progress, that we're focused on the performance, and that we are then making sure that at the end of that meeting we can answer the question, have we definitely worked towards improving student learning? And so that's kind of where we're at now in terms of our PLC groups. The high school, we're going to go building by building. The high school, of course, their focus, their state assessment is the SAT. And so a lot of their PLC work then is focused on the students and where they're at. And so September 4th was the universal testing day at the high school. Students were taking the SAT and the PSAT. The seniors actually start working on transitioning to post-high school. So what that college process looks like or if they're thinking about moving on to the world of work after high school. So that's what they're focused on that day, but the other students are focused on taking that initial assessment, and that kind of tells us our baseline data at the high school. And then periodically, there are additional assessments given to the students to see where they're at. And in the interim, the teachers are giving their own formative assessments. So the focus is on the math, science, English, and social studies as they do their work. And again, they've developed their common formative assessments, common summative assessments, so that when their PLC groups get together, they can discuss that data that they've been working on. In terms of interventions for students, if the students need additional support, on Wednesdays, they have their ASAP time, which again focuses on students who are either struggling academically in their classes or they're deficient in some of the learning standards. They use Khan Academy for the math, and then they also give additional assessments to the juniors and then offer the juniors SAT and ACT courses as well throughout the school year. So their data, and we've talked about this a little bit last year with the way that the high school is using the data. They're using Mastery Connect, and so then blocked out are the students' names, and then it tells the teacher very quickly which students have mastered the standards and which students need to continue to work on those standards. And then each of those standards are tied to the state standards and also SAT questions. And this is, again, at the top, that blue, those numbers and letters, that represents different standards. In this case, it's math. So each one of those represents a different state standard in the area of math. The teachers know those standards, and so they know what that means. And so then they can very quickly see where a student is in terms of their performance on the state standards. And then this just shows, this is from a year ago where periodically they're giving additional assessments, and so then they can track a student's progress as they work through the year. And then the goal is obviously when we get to the end of the school year, our students are at mastery. And you can see that most of the students did reach that green, which is symbolic that they did master the SAT. This may be a little bit difficult to see, but this is a scattergram, and this is 2018 data. The 19 data won't be available to the end of the month, and when I do the state of the district, I share that information with you. But that triangle is where Westmont High School is compared to all the other high schools in the state, and this is based upon the percent low income that a school has. And so when you look at where we're at, we're achieving better than almost every school that has similar demographics as us. And then if you were to move horizontally to the left, a straight line across to that y-axis, those are schools that actually have fewer low-income students, yet we're performing at or better than many of those schools. And so some of those outliers that you see above, those are either charter schools or private schools. And so they're not truly public schools. And so you can see the work that the high school is doing, and that's one of the reasons why they were rated as exemplary. And then that shows you the mathematics, very similar as well, that again, for similar schools as ours, we're achieving better than most of those schools. Manning and Miller, they've been working on they did a presentation at the end of the year, the standards-based report card, and so they're refining that as they continue that pilot, and they have their pre-assessment data for grades 3 through 5, and again, they're working on developing, they're working with iReady, if you remember the board discussed that, and iReady is providing them with additional assessments, additional ways to track students in ELA and math. That again is the sample that we transitioned to in terms of providing parents more information about how their student is performing as it pertains to the Illinois standards. They are working on modifying this a little bit because some of the standards they might not teach in the first quarter. But again, it looks like sometimes when that data is missing, it looks like that child may not be meeting that standard, where in reality they shouldn't be at that point. And so they are working on how they report out that information so it's clear to the parent that, yes, as of quarter one, these are the standards your child should be meeting, as of quarter two, as of quarter three, so that's easier for the parent. The junior high has been meeting, at our last SIP day, they met with the high school math and science departments to see how the PLC work that they're doing, to make sure that they're aligned to the work that they're doing, to make sure they're functioning in a similar manner. They've been aligning their curriculum to the state standards, and then they're also working on their local assessments and making sure that those are aligned to the state standards. And they have common formative and summative assessments in the junior high as well. And then again, their discussions when they're meeting in PLC groups, they want to make sure that they know which standards the students are struggling on, which ones they have a solid foundation, and then also what help they can provide students who are almost there, and then looking at their assessments, making sure that they are measuring the amount of growth that the students are experiencing. Their data looks a little bit different because we're using Otis at the K-8 level, but it operates very similar. The teacher can very quickly see where their class is on the standards, and if this were the actual website, the actual data, with the cursor you can hover above the like that blue portion, and it'll actually give you the names of students who fall into that area so that the teacher can see those very quickly. Same thing with the yellow into the red, so that they can track where their students are and what students they are meeting standards, working towards the standards, or not meeting. And then this is similar to the other screen that the high school has. Again, this has been cropped so that you don't see the student's name. But for each standard within a class, then a teacher can see what students are meeting the standards, which ones are not meeting the standards, and so then they can modify their instruction, differentiate their instruction for what the student needs. And so it's been an excellent tool. Similar to the high school, this is at the elementary level. So again, in this case, the triangle is Manning, the dot would be Miller, and it shows you where they are in relation to other schools in the state. And so, once again, Miller and Manning, for similar schools, are at the top of their area. And then if you move again horizontally to the left, those are schools that were achieving higher than, who have better demographics. And that's in the area of mathematics, then in language arts. That's what the data looks like. And again, this is 18 data. We're anticipating that we'll see growth with the 19 data when we get that in a few weeks. And then the junior high, that's what they look like compared to other schools, again, with similar demographics. And that's in the area of ELA. And then for the mathematics, that's where the junior high rates again against similar schools. And again, the junior high is at the top for schools that are the same as the junior high, and then achieving better than many schools that have better demographics than the junior high. Any questions?
I just have a very basic question, going back to that sample math report card for the elementaries. I know this is new. So what would a parent see there? Just a check mark? Would there be some type of number grade, letter grade, asterisk? I mean, what would a parent see if their child was achieving one of these goals? How would that be indicated?
It would be indicated that they've either met, working towards, or did not meet.
Okay.
Is what it would say. That's what it would indicate.
So are they going to put like a fourth category in that haven't studied this yet?
I believe they're going to grade that out so that indicates that they haven't
taught
covered
it
that material yet.
Okay.
I'm really impressed with the performance of our schools. That's one thing that jumped right out. How does the information at PLCs that our staff finds when they're working together, how does that get communicated to the district to drive things like curriculum? So if we were consistently scoring low in a certain standard, that maybe our curriculum that we purchased wasn't hitting that standard enough.
Right.
How does that process, how does it get up?
What happens if the teachers identify that there's gaps in our curriculum, then that information is communicated to their building principals. And then their building principals bring that to our admin team, which includes Nadine, who's our Director of Teaching, Learning, and Technology, myself, Kim, Linda. And so then we're able to have those discussions and decide. That was one of the reasons why we brought the new Math and EL series on.
Yeah.
Because the information we were getting from our teachers is that there were a lot of gaps in our curriculum. It wasn't aligned to the state standards, and so our teachers were doing a lot of work on their own, trying to find resources that they could use in the classroom, and so that's why we went with a different ELA and math series. And then the same thing is true with special ed as well. If there's, our special ed teachers as well are saying that there are things that they're lacking, you know, in terms of being able to modify curriculum, work with their students. It works through the same process. That's brought to the administration, the principals, and then it's brought to the admin team.
Thank you. So Kevin, as I look at this, a question is kind of forming in my mind as well, and I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily related to this discussion, but I'm going to put it out there to see if there's an easy answer. When the staff is meeting in PLCs and we're evaluating this data, I'm curious in looking at the elementary school numbers and also now into the junior high. We do have, even within schools, sort of a different path for students. Specifically, I'm thinking about the dual language program and how the students who are tracking through the dual language program are meeting the standards as they progress through the grades. And I'm wondering if we ever have the opportunity to kind of strip that out and evaluate how that program is influencing our numbers, so to speak, over time, and are those students who are going through dual language meeting the standards as they progress over time in their grade levels?
Right. And with Otis that we're using now, that does allow us to pull that data out separately and take a look at that data. So we are doing that.
Okay.
Taking a look at how our dual language students are performing compared to their peers, if they're meeting the standards. And what we're, you know, this is the first time we're having a group that transitions to the junior high.
Right.
So now is our first time to see how those students are, again, compared to their peers as they
Right.
transition.
Right.
So we're looking at
that's the
that
first
data.
class, and we'll continue to monitor that as we have more and more
Right.
classes, and
Right.
obviously use that to make adjustments to the programming as
Yes.
needed. Okay.
Well, based on that, would it be possible at the state of the district that you give us that information?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be
We
great.
Include that in your report somehow.
We
Thank you.
can, sure.
Yep.
Can you remind me and the public when the state of the district is occurring?
Usually we do it at the November
Okay.
board meeting.
And Kevin, you have given us this information based on schools, but just in case someone is looking at this, there is time built into, for the PLCs, for the schools to talk to each other.
Right.
I'm sorry, like the elementary schools with the junior high and the junior high to the high school, to make sure that they're on path either up or back down.
Right,
Does that
right.
make sense?
Yeah, we do provide time for articulation between the two elementary schools. There are times that we will have some vertical articulation between elementary, junior high, and high school.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions?
Looks good.
Okay, thank you
All right,
very much.
thank you.
And then we'll wait for you to come over here because
right.
the next piece is superintendent's superintendent's report.
Ready?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, now that you're
I
here,
should just roll or?
superintendent's
All right.
report.
All right, just a couple items. One is we do have parent-teacher conferences coming up on Thursday, October 24th, and Friday, October 25th. Skyward is right now open and available for parents to make their appointments. But if a parent doesn't have access to Skyward or is having difficulty with that, they can contact their child's school and call and make an appointment that way as well. So again, conferences are on Thursday, October 24th, and Friday, October 25th. And then next Wednesday, October 17th at 6:30.
Where do you leave that?
Yep.
So, and there'll be an early dismissal on the Thursday, and then Friday, there's no school
Right,
for that, okay,
Right.
so for the students, okay, thank you.
right. And I think I have the wrong date there. Is it the 16th?
It's
I have the wrong date there.
supposed to be the 16th, no,
Right.
wait, 16th.
16th, so
Yeah.
I've got the wrong date there. So let me correct that. That Wednesday, October 16th at 6:30 PM in the high school auditorium, we'll be having a vaping informational meeting. It's open to our school community, but also the community in general. Many of you may have been hearing some of the stories about individuals and teens either developing serious lung illnesses, in some cases fatal, from vaping. And so we thought it was important to have an informational meeting for our community to share information with our parents, and students are also invited. It was spearheaded by Amy Quattrone and Debbie Dickert at the junior high, along with Nick Lynn, our resource officer. And so it's truly a community event. We're partnering, and we're bringing in a guest speaker. And so hopefully people can attend, again, Wednesday, October 16th at 6:30 PM in the high school auditorium.
I was gonna ask that question about students. Students are
Yeah,
welcome to.
Students are welcome, yes.
Well, that's, looking forward to that. That's a lot of good information to get out there to everybody, so. Okay, anything, that's it then, Kevin? Now that
Yes.
you're drinking water.
Yes.
Board reports, are there any board reports?
I just have one. I want to wish our board member who's missing here tonight, John Rudy, a speedy recovery. As many of you know, he's been dealing with that foot injury. Well, that foot injury has landed him in the hospital today.
No.
Instead of being out with his wonderful, beautiful wife for her birthday tonight, he is, that's correct. So get well soon, John. We miss you.
Oh, my gosh, I'm sorry to hear that.
On less of a bummer note, can I, sorry about that, John. I wanted to congratulate the BPAC and the staff at Miller. Tonight, they hosted Taco Tuesday and the first BPAC meeting of the year, and early reports are that it went very well and was well attended. For those who aren't aware, the BPAC is the Bilingual Parents Advisory Committee, and they meet on a regular basis to talk about our ESL programs and dual language program within the district. All parents are always welcome to attend. You do not have to be bilingual. So please, if you ever see one of those meetings, it's a very interesting committee, and feel free to attend.
I had two quick things. One is their junior high hosted the conference meet for our cross-country team, and I was a course monitor for that. And there was a ton of students there that participated from all the area schools, and the coaches did a wonderful job organizing. I heard it was kind of a last-minute switch that the school had to host. So they did a really great job organizing that, and I wanted to compliment the athletes. I just saw so many great examples of good sportsmanship. So many of our runners were cheering on every kid from every school, and I was just really happy to see that. And the second compliment I have is I attended a Miller Parent Night Out, and there was a bunch of kindergarten parents there. And these parents had first, their oldest children was going to kindergarten, and that's always a little nerve-wracking. And I heard some wonderful compliments about our kindergarten teachers, in particular Mrs. Bartos' name was mentioned, who I do not know, but that they've just been very impressed by our teachers, and I think it's a good time to just say how impressed I am with all of our staff. But I promised to shout out that one particular name. A parent made me promise to compliment her. So I thought I'd mention that.
I have just one thing. The golf team finished their season, and last week was the tournament. And if anyone has ever gone to golf, not a spectator sport that you get to sit in the stands. However, for the tournaments, parents can go. And it was a beautiful day, and our boys and our girls participated. And I happened to run into one of the coaches from one of the other teams. And he was, I just introduced myself, and he said that, first of all, he was really excited to have Westmont High School in the conference, because he said it gave the girls' team more competition. So that was really good to hear. At the conference, our boys' team came in fourth, and Tyler Cunningham Jr., he came in first overall in the whole, in that. So that was wonderful. And then just yesterday, they had regionals, and unfortunately, our team isn't moving on. However, Tyler is going to sectionals, going downstate. So it was nice to see that the teams did so well in the first the first time that they're competing in this conference, and so it seemed to go really well. So congrats to the team, and good luck to Tyler as he moves on. Okay, any other board reports? Then, are there any public comments? Okay, future meetings. Westmont High School Fall Concert is October 10th at 7 o'clock at Westmont High School. There will be no school on Columbus Day, October 14th, 2019. Clearing the Air, the Vaping Awareness Night, October 16, 2019, at 6:30 at Westmont High School. And that's in the auditorium, is that right? Okay. The Jazz Cafe will be October 16th, 2019, at 7 o'clock at Westmont High School. Then the high school's Volley for a Cure is October 17th at 5 o'clock at Westmont High School. And the next school board meeting will be October 22nd, again at 6 o'clock here at the Westmont Village Hall.
Marie, I'm sorry, did you mention about the concert tomorrow night?
Which one, Jazz Cafe?
That's tomorrow night.
It's not October 16th?
I was told it was tomorrow night. I don't know if it's a Jazz Cafe. I was told that there was a jazz concert tomorrow night.
Wait, so the high school fall concert, is that still the 10th?
I thought it was tomorrow night.
Okay, so that's on the 9th?
That's Thursday night.
Today's the 8th.
Okay.
So the 10th,
That's correct.
is that the
Yeah.
fall concert? Okay, and then the Jazz Cafe is the 16th?
Yeah.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to enter closed session to discuss personnel issues, collective bargaining, student discipline, and the superintendent's evaluation.
So moved.
Second.
And roll call, please.
Mr. Armstrong,
Yes.
Mrs. Coyle,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Stromeyer.
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton.
Yes,
Thank you.
and there will not be a vote after closed.